Hello. Okay. Welcome to my third episode. This is going to be talking about the way I got out of debt. It was very traumatic. I've always wanted to make a video talking about my finances because I feel like a lot of people, including myself, were illiterate or are illiterate to some extent because our parents either didn't come. Oh, I'm a first gen, so my parents did not come knowing how to spend money, anything about credit cards. They didn't. I think they just assumed like I'm here to make the kind of money that I need to get my kids by, right? um Unfortunately, there were really hard times. I remember when I was younger, at least the minimum wage used to be $7.25. I could only imagine that when my parents got here, it was way lower, but also expenses were lower. So I got my first credit card in, when was it? 2015. I think in 2015 I got my first credit card. Shout out to, which bank was it? Girl, I don't even know which bank it was, but shout out to whatever bank I got it from. The $300 maximum because your girl did not have credit. And at the time, $300 was a lot of money for me. I was at least 18, so I just thought, holy crap, how am I going to keep up with these payments, right? Like, how am I going to keep up with this kind of money? So I was pretty scared. Also, I moved out of the house at 20 years old, which puts a lot of pressure on someone who doesn't know how to handle their expenses or just doesn't know how to manage their money. Because I do feel like I didn't know how to manage my money. My parents never talked to me about it. They didn't even know, for Pete's sake. Unfortunately, my dad is terrible with money, so I would give him money, right? And it's the people pleasing in me that I just felt like I need to help my dad. I never saw it as like a bad thing, like he was irresponsible, but later on I figured out like that's irresponsibility on someone that should be able to handle their finances. But again, at the same time, I was like, but they didn't come here knowing how to fix their finances. Yeah, so when I was 20, I moved out. By that time, I already had a credit card. I probably had a second credit card. I'm gonna tell you right now, I think I have like 4 or 5. And at some point, I had 2 of them maxed out, both of them at 4,000. And I was screwed. I was like, oh my God, how am I gonna pay this off? Because by that time, I had already gotten enough credit to where I could get more. And I'm here like, what am I gonna do? I don't make enough money. They weren't paying me enough to live alone, pay rent, right? Even though my rent was almost nothing. And I had a car payment of, I think, $299 at the time, which was really cheap. I also paid insurance, car insurance, which was $450 a month, right? So rent, car note, and insurance, plus credit cards, plus I didn't make enough. So, and for a long time I worked 2 jobs. So even with 2 jobs, even if I was getting the extra amount of money coming in, I didn't know how to like save, and I didn't know how to not spend, right? So that was an issue. So it really comes down to your habits with money and knowing not to splurge. First of all, as a 20-year-old, what are you going to want to do? You're going to want to spend your money. If you see a cute shirt, you're going to want to buy the cute shirt. It's okay. It's only $5. Actually, right now, they're probably like 20. I'm going to get the cute shirt. Fine. I want the cute sweater. Fine. I got a credit card. I'm going to swipe for it. But the problem is when you start getting addicted to spending. Like, oh, I need to buy food. Food is a necessity, right? Like, food is a necessity, so I'm going to spend my money on food. Let me just buy this. It only costs so and so. Like, the thing is with credit cards is you shouldn't be spending money if you don't got it. So like, the thing is, you could have credit cards and you'd be like, but I have a credit card. Like, I can spend it because I have a credit card. There's a limit. Let's say you have a $30,000 limit. Oh, but I got money. It's right here. I'll just pay it off later. No, girl. And don't do that to yourself, because you can think you have the money right here. Like, I'm gonna pay it later. But if you don't have, I guess, a good income coming in where you're able to depend on it and pay it off on the spot, then I would not be depending on a credit card to pay your everyday things if you cannot afford it. Right? That's going way past your means, which means you shouldn't be using a credit card if you can't afford it. Like, if you can't afford things, don't buy them. That was my problem. I used to shop and I spent money. I like to spend money. So I spent money. Like, I think I got my teeth done at some point, but that was a necessity. That was another story. I'll talk about that later. I spent it on school. That was for money because FAFSA wasn't covering me at the time, so I decided to spend on school. Blah blah blah. It ended up adding up. Everything ended up adding up. And so basically, first of all, I'm gonna explain what a credit card is and the basics of it. I have a notebook. I did write these things down because I wanted to do my research, because this is obviously just my story. I can only say the basics because I'm not this finance guru. I'm just taking notes, going by what I went through, right? What is a credit card, y'all? Credit card is that little card that you get. You can apply online, or I think at a bank, but I think now it's mostly online. And you either pre-qualify, which means you're already qualified to apply for the credit card, or you don't, and you have to wait like 3 days to see if they reject you or not. They reject you, that sucks. But a lot of companies, if you don't have credit score, they will deny you. So my first one was $300. I applied, I got approved, and so there you go. And what happens when you get a credit card is you're just going to be making small payments for the most part. You want to stay at 30%. You don't want to go above 30% when you're spending a credit card. So what that means is, if I have $1,000 of credit limit, right, I'm only going to spend $300. That is all I'm going to spend. I'm not going to go over that, because what happens is it could actually jeopardize your credit score. And let's say you don't, right? Let's say you spend $500, you spend $600. Fine. I want to spend extra amount. When you decide to do that and you end up reaching your like limit, that's so bad. First of all, don't do that. Second of all, it's just going to hurt your credit score at that point. And like, you shouldn't be spending that much if you're going to. Don't max out your credit cards. Just don't do it. An APR, so annual percentage rate. The annual percentage rate, and I'm going to say this, like, I understand that people don't like doing their research. I'm not going to speak for everyone. I'm just saying some people don't like doing their research. Some people don't like reading. It's unfortunate, because you really should keep up to date on different things in life. Schools should really be teaching us this, but they don't. An APR is the percentage that they're charging you annually, right? So most credit cards will charge you 20% and up. So you guys have seen the whole 12 months or 15 months or 18 months or 21 months or whatever it is, 0% APR. And until you reach those months is when they start charging you the APR, right? Coming back to the $1,000 limit, let's pretend they told me for 15 months, Sandra, you're not going to get any annual percentage rate, right? You're not going to be charged interest on your credit card. I said, period, that's what I want. So what happens is when you reach the 15 months, and I'm just like, oh, it's coming, it's your responsibility to really check and make sure that that hasn't gone up, right? Like you haven't passed that date, because you really have to prepare yourself for paying extra on your balance, right? So the 15 months comes and I'm just like, okay, I gotta pay APR. So how much APR do you have to pay? On your statement, which you should be reading monthly, or at least every 3 months if you want. If you're using a credit card, you should be looking into that stuff. My credit card was 28.99%. That is a lot, which is why it was not good that I had it maxed out, because I did. I had a couple of them maxed out. And for the sake of this video, we're going to use the $1,000 amount. And no, actually, let's use the highest. Let's use the highest, which at some point I had $10,000 in debt. I will say that. $10,000. And I got out of that in like a year and a few months, right? Let's say I have $10,000 in debt, right? My APR is $28.99. So an annual percentage rate, you're going to actually divide the $28.99 by 12 months, right? So $28.99 divided by 12 months, and I wrote it down here. I think I rounded, to be honest. It was 2.4 something, and I rounded it to 2.42. So which means you're going to multiply the $10,000 by the 2.42%. Okay? We get $242 rounded, which means every month that you're being charged, there's an additional $242 added to your balance. That sucks. So a lot of people are like, what the heck? I can only afford a $150 payment. I can only afford a $50 payment, because they have so many either debt or they have so many bills outside of credit cards, and it's like, how am I going to even pay that? Me, I had 2 cards and I was like, holy crap, how am I going to pay this? Because girl, I was not making a lot. I was like, what have I done, right? Because you could look for a higher paying job, but at the time I just couldn't find it. So $242 extra. And then I got to a point where I was just really anxious, and I was like, I can't do this. I was like, oh, I can't do this. I need to pay this off. And I decided to get a second job. Yeah, wake up call. You need 2 jobs to get somewhere. And if you don't, you're lucky, but I did, right? So I needed 2 jobs. So I got 2 jobs. I worked 2 jobs for about 4-ish years, 2 different jobs. And then I started trying to put it away. The problem with me was, I mean, I did technically pay it off, but it was hard. It was not easy. I had to discipline myself and make sure that I was writing down my bills. And to this day, it's on my phone. To this day, I write it on a sticky note, and my income, and then I write all my bills. And I'm like, okay, these are the expenses for the month. And then I write what I'm left with, right? Whatever I was left with, I was paying towards my credit cards. So I made, I would leave like $100 to spend on anything, including groceries. Thank God we can afford it at that time, not anymore. I was putting into my credit cards like $1,400 a month. Yeah, 1,000. I think I paid it off on the 10th or 11th month, and that was a lot. I also paid off my car. Oh, I forgot to mention balance transfers. Okay, so that saved my life. I'm sure you guys were like, wait, Sandra, what do you mean you paid in 11 months? How'd you pay that if you had $242 worth of interest rate? Okay, sorry, I forgot. Balance transfer. So I was smart enough to actually go to the bank, and there was a promotion going on for balance transfer, which means you're able to transfer your credit card to a different credit card. So you transfer it for 0%, but usually they charge about 3%. So you will pay 3% more, but you will be able to transfer it and have 0%. Now, I did this because I was like, yo, I'd rather pay 3%, which is about $200, which is the same amount that I'm paying for 1 month of interest versus literally 12 months of $200 payments, right? So I was like, screw it, I'm gonna do it. I'm going to go make sure that I get that done. So I transferred my whole balance, and what you do is like ring ring, you call the credit card company, hey, do I have any promotions? I was wondering, I can't afford this percentage rate, I can't, blah blah blah, I can't pay this off right now, whatever it is there any way that I can get a balance transfer, or I can get my percentage lowered because I can't afford this right now? There's no shame, girls, or guys, no shames in anything, because honestly, like, I've been there, it happens, we're just girls and boys. So I did that, and then one time it did not work. Sorry. One time it did not work, where I wasn't able to do a balance transfer. Girl, what do you think I did? I literally had to do something else. I don't know what it was called, but basically, what was it? There's a different thing that you can do. So if you have a credit limit of double what you owe, right? So my APR was high at some point for a credit card, and I was just like, yo, this is too high for me, but also I'm not gonna spend more on this credit card. So one of my cards has $16,000 credit limit, and I think it was at $8,000, right? Girl, don't ask. I don't know. I don't know. Like in the past, because I don't know. Some things were just, I don't know how they happened. I think at that point it was some other things that I spent for. But 8,000, 16,000. So I was like, because it was at 24 point something, right? % for your APR. So I was just like, yo, I cannot afford that. That's still around the same amount of money. I'm like, I am not going to be paying that much interest every month. What did I do? No promotion. So I was like, dang, what do I do now? So basically the bank said that I could use, right? I had 8,000 left. I could use this amount and pay it off to 0, and instead it'll be kind of like you paid it off with cash, but you didn't. But you're gonna still have that balance, but it's gonna go to 0 APR again. I know, crazy. I was like, what? Really? So yeah, that's what happened. And actually, I gotta call out the credit card company for someone else because I need to help them. But like, my point is, there's 2 different ways to do it. Now let's pretend and say, first of all, I don't suggest getting small loans for these things, because trust me, it's not worth it. I've never done it, but I just don't think it's worth it. Loans have a high percentage, and like, I don't know, just loans in general, like, I just wouldn't do it. I have my school loans, but that's it. Basically what I did is I got on a strict plan, and I said, you know what, this is how much I'm willing to, this is how bad I want to get rid of this debt. I'm going to basically put in 80% of my paycheck towards my credit cards for the next 11 months. Now, would you rather spend 80% of your paycheck towards your 11 months and then be done with it? Or do you want to keep going into debt and then not enjoying your life because you owe all this money? And a lot of people have this fear around owing money. Me, So basically right now, all I owe on a credit card is $200. That's it. And I have this thing where no matter what, I pay it in full. And that is actually the smarter way to go. You want to pay it in full. I mean, yeah, sure, you can be making the payments over the minimum because you don't want to pay the minimum. That's how they get you. They want you to pay the minimum. So if you pay the minimum balance, you avoid late fees, right? That's all that means. You pay the minimum, you avoid the late fees. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be charged interest, though. If you pay the full balance, which is the entire thing, I spent $150 today, interest gone. That's how you avoid the interest fee. But if you cannot pay your cards in full, you shouldn't be spending on your credit cards. You should not be using them. But I will say you should be using them on everyday expenses, because what happens is some credit cards, like my Discover, gives me the options to get points every time I shop. Get points every time I put gas in my car. What else was it? Everyday expenses, groceries, blah, blah, blah. I never miss a deadline. I literally never missed a payment. If I did, I went and begged the credit card company to please. I was like, this is the first time. I think I only missed it once. I was like, I missed it. Please, please, please. Because they will, they will give you a late fee. Girl, don't get it's like, what if they give you $30 extra late fees? Like, do you want that? I don't think so. Do cashbacks, so that's when you earn the points long enough and then you get like points back. You could use those for traveling. Depending on the credit card you use, you can use those for shopping. You can just get the cash and put it back. I do that. Or you can actually put it towards your credit card. So if you gain enough of those points, you can pay it back. Yeah, I just think it's insane. Going back to that, like, there's nothing wrong with it because a lot of us are not literate or we don't know a lot about finances. Yeah, I have had people tell me I didn't know what an APR was, and I was like, wait, what? And I was dumbfounded because, like, I knew that I didn't know what an APR was at some point in my life, but like, I was like, wait, what? Like, genuinely concerned though, because it's scary to not know what an APR is because they're literally taking your money. Or I didn't know I was getting charged additional charges, because that happens with scamming. So sometimes people will run your credit card. You know, there's people that are thieves and they will literally steal your information and just run your credit card in a different country or something. People will be like, well, I didn't know I had additional charges. I never look at my bank account. That's scary. Girl, you should be looking at your bank account. I literally look at mine every single day. Scroll. I actually caught the fees, like they were charging on my credit card, and I was like, wait a damn minute, I didn't make these charges. And I had to call them and I was like, yo, like, that wasn't me. And you go through it and you say yes, no, right, with your bank. But you need to know those things. So like, if you're not looking at your mobile app, if you're not looking at your statements, if you're saying, screw this, I'm scared of money, I'm not going to stare at it, which valid. It is a valid thing to be traumatized by money, but not to the point where it's like avoidance with money in that sense, because you shouldn't be avoiding like your bills. You shouldn't be avoiding your payments just because you're scared of the amount of money. Money is a good thing. Oh, that's such a good one. Hold on. Because for a long time, I thought money was evil. Yeah. Money is the root of all evil, blah, blah, blah. And I had this limiting belief around money. I was just like, I came from like a really poor home. I'm never going to make that kind of money. How do people... I thought it was tied to my education. So I was just like, oh, these went to college for what they're making. I can't make that much. Yes, you can. You can make that amount... the amount of money that you want, first of all. And it's all about the beliefs surrounding money. So if you believe that money is bad and money does not come to you easily and money is literally like slips out of your finger. Hey, there's a guy taking a video of the sunset. It does look nice. If you guys could, oh, you guys could see in the background. Anyways, if you have an ideology that money slips out of your hands, money does not stick around, it's always leaving, honestly, the universe is going to reflect that back. So cute. The universe is going to reflect that back because you have that belief within you that you are not worthy of keeping and holding on to money. Why? Because for a long time, I thought I was not worthy enough to have money in front of me. I said, I don't know how to save money. What do you mean? I just live paycheck to paycheck. I thought my life was dictated around being able to just pay my bills. No. Now I'm very like responsible. I say, okay, I write down my bills, my expenses, and I'm just like, how much can I usually leave like $100 for fun money, and I'm put the rest on my savings, and I'm just like, okay, this is for this. I'm actually going to be opening a S&P 500 top performing companies. Listen, I'm not that good with explaining these things, but I'm going to be getting into the S&P 500. I'm going to put money in there. That's basically stock market stuff. And this is the first time I'm getting into that at age 29. So just know that if you don't know anything about stocks, girl, neither do I. I know something about it, but I'm still learning. So the fact that I became a little bit financially literate, because obviously I don't know everything, but I know the basics and the minimum of what you need to know. And I feel like everyone should write down, take notes, write down your finances, like make a spreadsheet, put down everything you spend on. If you write everything you spend on, you're literally going to be like, whoa, girl. Coffee costs what, $5 now, $5.50, $6, depending on what you get. $6 every single day. 6 times, let's say you just get it, let's say you get it 7 days a week. 6 times 7, $42 is how much you spend on coffee. No, girl, we gotta look at the things that you spend on every day, small things. If you really are in debt, what do I need? What do I not need? Where can I save? Do I go to the grocery stores and I get a bag of chips that I don't need, and also isn't probably not that good for your health? Also, it's okay if you splurge on your small stuff. I'm not saying that. I am a very healthy person though, and I do buy my candy and my ice cream. I can't say no to that. But if you're going and spending a lot of money on things that you don't need to be spending it on, there's a lady. I don't want her to think I'm recording. Okay. If you're spending a bunch of money on things you don't need, getting your hair done. Oh, wait, I'm talking as a girl. But men, buying car parts. Yes, I went there. Buying shoes, and you know you're in debt. Buying video games. Women doing your nails. I don't have my nails done because I told myself I want to save a good chunk of money by the end of this year, so the nails are not going to be there. I do plan on going for one set, but I don't know about that now because now I'm kind of putting my savings hat on. But looking at your everyday things and saying, okay, I'm going to cut down on this. Okay, I can say no to this. Saying no is so important. Having the mindset of I can keep money is so important. I literally switched the mindset of my own mom. And she's been saving a whole lot more than she did before she knew anything about finances. So my advice to you is really getting serious about saving. If you cannot afford to save even $50, which, hey, again, understandable, dude. This economy is really bad. Minimum wage is really bad. Many people have kids, which I understand is a lot, right? But if you can really not get there, start cutting down to where you can on the eating, on the going out, and do things that are free. There's free things online that you can do. I do it all the time. I'm traveling once this year, and that's for something that I actually is important to me. But other than that, like, I'm not going to be traveling because I told myself I really want to save this year. The year before and the year before that, I traveled twice that year, whatever. But you're allowed to have fun moderately. Like, I think you're allowed to have fun to an extent, but just make sure that you have a plan. You're writing how much am I going to put, and be consistent and be responsible and actually go through with what you're promising. Like, if you're promising yourself, hey, I'm gonna pay this off in 8 months, I bet you can do it, and I know you can. Like, it's really up, like, mental. It's all mental, that if I'm going to do this, I'm gonna do it. And if you don't have the money, just it's so hard too, because some people just need the money, and like in the economy we're in, but also like there's second jobs. Some people don't want to get second jobs, some people can't. So try getting a new job, something that pays higher. You have many options. There are many options, and come up with something to start creating more. Like, it's just so hard, but just give yourself at least the chance to either call the credit card company for the balance transfer, get a better paying job. I know that's hard, but you can get ask your boss for a promotion if you really do like your job. Go and do a second job. Do Uber Eats. I don't know how that works right now, because like I'm not doing that. Anything to just get your money up, or begin cutting on spending. That's basically the solution to everything. Just cutting down. And if you're not willing to cut down, girl, that's gonna be going up and up and up. It's all mental. That's all I got, and I'm new, so don't come at me because I wrote my notes. And don't come at me because this is just from what happened to me. I feel like, yeah, I don't have any debt anymore other than my student loans, and I plan on paying that quick. And yeah, you don't have to like harm yourself by wanting to pay these things off, and put all that pressure on yourself, but trust me, it's worth it in the long run. Just doing it slowly than ended up not doing it and regretting and not being able to do the things you want. Like, the faster you get closer to the finish line of having paid your stuff off, the better you have of saving, the better you have of getting a better credit score, the better chances you have on just not having that much stress on you. Because I'm able to spend freely, but I do make sure I'm careful on what I'm spending. Just be mindful. Yeah, so that is my episode for today. I don't know if it was all over the place, but I don't really mind. This is the first time I've talked about finances, so I'm not an expert in it at all. Yeah, so the next one, I don't know what it's gonna be on, but it'll be on. Okay, bye guys.